Yo, still bills. What's the deal, man? Yo, I just finally heading to my niece's little birthday party. I'm running late in about an hour, close to 2 hours late, but I'm heading over there right now, man. Better late than never, man. But peep game, man. We gotta get into this shit, man. That's Big Baby's performance last night, man. I made a video that I forgot to upload, and I'm gonna upload it as soon as I'm done with this one, man. And I had a feeling that something along these lines would happen to a certain degree, but I just didn't think it would be like this. I figured that because of Charles Martin's past experience as a champion and the caliber of fighters that he's been in there with, even in losses, you gotta understand. Even in losses, those benefit you. Losses benefit you as well. So in the fight where he lost to Adam Kalnaki, I think he gained a lot more out of the loss to Adam Kalnaki than he did with like Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua was able to get him out of there in such a fast and haphazard fashion that it was just like, damn. Yeah, but you learn in loss. You learn in loss. So this is, like I said, a former world champion, and a multitude of big fights under his belt. Charles Martin has been in there with Anthony Joshua, Adam Kanaki, Gerald Washington, Luis Ortiz. The best being Anthony Joshua and Luis Ortiz. He gained a lot out of that experience. So he was able to take Big Baby Anderson into deep waters. And up until last night, Big Baby had never been past 6 rounds. He had never been past 6 rounds, man. So and Charles Martin came in shape. Like that's the biggest caveat of this fight. He came in shape. Like that nigga came in. He trained like he wanted to win this fight. That man's cardio was up, clear as day. He was like, I need this fight, or at least the sculpture of him, looked like I'm about to come and win this fight. But nonetheless, Jared Anderson dominated the first 6 rounds. He dropped him. He was able to hurt him in there. He was stabbing to the body, long shots to the body. He started throwing in combinations up top. It wasn't countering. Yeah, he was countering. He was countering in there, man. But a lot of times the shots were coming when he was leading the dance. And that's how it played out for the first 6 rounds. Then literally in the 7th round, that's when you seen Charles Martin start to pick the shit up. That's when you started to see him land significant and clear, concise left hands on that man's chin strap, man. And it was a lot of people saying that he beats Anthony Joshua, and I'm like, y'all are out of your minds, man. Like, David Morrell is a prime example of what it means to be a skilled and solid fighter, but lack the experience. I think David Morrell, from a skill set standpoint, has the possible highest ceiling in the division. Has the highest ceiling, but he's only been, he's been in the deep round. He's been 12, most definitely. He's been 12, but he hasn't been 12 with the best available opponents. You know what I'm saying? Even the top 10 opponent, he hasn't been in there with them. The likes of a Carlos Gongora or a Christian Mabili, or even a Darrell. He hasn't been in there with them dudes, and they can push him. Even though he's been 12. He hasn't been in there with the best that there was available. But he hasn't been in there with somebody significant. That has that's been in there with other factors in the division for 12 rounds. That means something. So when we go into the 7th round, you start to see Charles Martin get a little bit more comfortable with launching that left hand, and he's landing them. And back to what I was saying about Jared Anderson beating Anthony Joshua, man. I've always said it. He gets hit a lot. And it's boxing. You're gonna take punishment. But the shots that people are landing on this dude are not. Those shouldn't be they shouldn't be hitting you that much and that often. Now, granted, the people who you've been fighting thus far haven't necessarily been dudes that can gain like, oh shit, like, oh man, I need about 30 seconds out of this round right here to regain my composure. Like, I'm buzzed. I ain't got my legs up under me. My brain is cloudy. He hasn't been in there with nobody of that magnitude. Anthony Joshua has. And we can say how robotic Anthony Joshua is. I think from a tactician standpoint, Jared Anderson is a better fighter than Anthony Joshua with the switch hitting. No, I wouldn't even say better. I say he's more fluid. but I think he has the better feet than Joshua. He's able to cut off the ring a little bit better. Um, he's faster. He's just more, he's just a lot more fluid of a fighter. He doesn't look as stiff. He's a lot more fluid. But the thing is, Anthony Joshua gets to the side of punches. He gets to the side and around straight shots, and he knows how to properly roll up under the hooks. But mainly the focal point of is getting to the side of straight shots. Jared Anderson doesn't do that well. All the pulling back to pulling back to pulling back. You gotta remember, you ain't fight. If you was fighting maybe a Ricardo Torres, maybe you can get away with that. But Charles Martin is 6'5". I don't know if Jared Anderson is 6'4". I think he, if he is, what, it's still good height regardless. But is he 6'4" or 6'3"? One or the other. The difference, just it's a world of difference when you standing in front of somebody that's taller than you, and they can follow you out with with the straight shots down the pipe. You can't just pull back and be completely out of range. They're following you back with the straight with the straight shots. And Charles Martin started doing that consistently. What the fuck was on over here? He was doing that consistently. And it wasn't even so much following him out with the straight hand. He wasn't stepping into the shot. He was just able to land it at a high rate because he's so much taller. His limbs are so much longer. Anthony Joshua has an incredible right hand, has an incredible jab. Can you afford to pull back on someone like an Anthony Joshua? You going to sleep if you do that with Anthony Joshua, bro. So I don't want to hear this bullshit that he's ready for Anthony, that he beat Anthony Joshua right now. I don't think so. He's not fucking with Anthony Joshua right now. Now, in retrospect, I don't want to get into this. I'm seeing a lot of people calling him a hype job and all that bullshit. I've been arguing with people for a minute about this shit, and it's like, bro, this is how you build prospects. You don't throw them into you don't put no hopers in front of them and then throw them into the deep end and expect them to swim. That's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. That's stupid. And of course, it's PBC fanboys. It's PBC fanboys, man. Like how they're doing with Isaac Cruz. The minute he steps up with one of these reputable 135 pounders, he's gonna get his ass beat. You don't just throw motherfuckers in there with no hopers and dudes who are far past the Gamboas and shit like that and expect, no, that's not what it is, bro. That's not smart. You're not building you're not building your fighters properly when you do shit like that. Hey, shit, get it. You're not building your fighters properly when you do that shit. You're setting them up for failure. You don't just feed them on a whole bunch of no hopers and then throw them into feed them to the wolves when it's a reputable in your division. Like, that's dumb. So what they're doing with Jared Anderson is smart. It's smart matchmaking. And that's what they say. I've been hearing that notion about Top Rank. Oh, man, they're smart matchmakers. Duh. You're supposed to be in there. The goal at this point in Jared Anderson's career is, let's highlight all the flaws in your game so we can work with them. Or so we can work to polish them up. And when it's time for you to step up significantly, you're a lot better equipped to deal with the foe in front of you. Does smart matchmaking. That's how you are supposed to match your opponent. That's how you're supposed to match your fighters up, who could potentially lead you to the promised land or be a part of keeping your stable afloat, your brand afloat. That's smart. Of course you're gonna match motherfuckers up in a no. But you just gonna throw them in there with Usyk and Fury and Joshua and Dillian White? You just gonna throw him in there with all them niggas? They haven't only gone 6 rounds. You just gonna feed them to them niggas? Yo, man, nah. Just go on up in there and fight Joe Joyce or Zhilei Zhang or Hrgovic or something like that. Go up there and fight one of them niggas. No, that's not logical. It's not smart. You have to build your fighter. You have to put him in fights to where this dude is capable enough to push him and possibly beat him. Not highly likely, but it's definitely a possibility. He could possibly beat him, but at the very most, he's going to push him. And we're going to see glaring flaws in there that need to be addressed and dealt with before we step him up to to contender status. And not contender status, but like contention. Nah, yeah, contender status. Contender status. So yeah, bro, he's not a hype job. He's not a hype job. He's not. He's a quality heavyweight who went in there and fought a dude with a boatload of experience. But they just think that every prospect is just supposed to come up there and knock shit out the park. And every prospect is supposed to be Shakur Stevenson. And even with Shakur Stevenson, as talented as he is, the minute he steps up, he's going to face resistance. He's going to face resistance. Thus far, I figured Jamel Herring would have been enough to, really push. He wasn't. Oscar Valdez was able to give him some good work, but it wasn't enough. The minute he gets in there with these top dogs at 135 pounds, they're going to give him resistance. But he's a standout prospect. Oh, he was a standout. He's a standout. He was a standout prospect. Lomachenko was a standout prospect. Y'all got to stop with the knee-jerk reaction shit, man. The dude is not a fucking hype job. He's a good quality fighter who just simply went in there and fought somebody who was, with proper experience. That's all that was. He dominated the fight. He showed a good chin. But it's just some holes in his game that he has to fill. And I'm sure that he will do that. But get the fuck out of here with that hype job bullshit, man. I'm tired of hearing people say that shit. Edgar Berlanga was a hype job. I'm sorry. But he was a hype job. Jared Anderson is not no fucking hype job. Jared Anderson is a quality heavyweight. And is going to be one of the faces in the heavyweight division in the near future. The mistakes that he made got put on display. Oh, that was broke. The mistakes he made last night got put on display for the world to see. Now we go into fixing them. We go to the gym and we make the proper adjustments to where nobody else will be able to do anything like that. That's how you build a fighter. So get the fuck out of here with that hype job bullshit, man. That shit is... Ugh. I hate motherfuckers, bro. I hate would-be boxing fans. They just say some of the dumbest shit. And it shows. So shout out to Jared Anderson. Deuces.